At Christmas. You know what that means. You watch all of modern Doctor Who with Christmas specials? Wear shorts at the end of December? I'm Jewish. I already had mine. Guess I'm just gonna go to the movies and eat Chinese food or whatever. I love you, Goonie. As for this channel, it's time to do Lianorn again. For the last time. Maybe? I don't know, she just seems like the most festive deck to do because it's literally just Plant Girl wearing red and green, doing a bunch of music stuff. I need a framer of this one. Today was originally going to be a deck vlog to show off Vivace in all of her glory, but then I slowly started to realize that every single variant that I test absolutely slaps, so I'm going to do you guys one better. Time for a set 13 guide of everything for our favorite girl. Like, comment, subscribe, use code SkyRange to raise energy, or check out my page on TCG Player to help support this channel or whatever. Of course, we can't get the Vivace party started without talking about the drum major herself, so let's go ahead and do that. Lianorn's new form has 2 different skills and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 4 different laser flutes. These things shoot lasers. First and most importantly, when you ride her over to Lianorn or a Persona ride or whatever, you become unison dressed for the game. That's just the name of the state, because everything in this format has to be dressed or whatever. Then once you dress up for the party, you get to draw a card. So off of Persona ride, because she still does have that, you basically get to draw 2 different cards. One from Persona ride and one from the dress up. As for that skill itself, when this card needs to address attacks, while not boosted, you get to stand up every single one of her rear guards and boost every single one of them onto her. Yes, this does also include things like grade 2s and grade 3s in back row. You could literally boost every card with Lianorn Vivace, which means that you get to the point where you are going to have to ask your opponent every single time you attack, do you want a number? This was my favorite from the latest test. We literally boosted 69k. She only does get 2 drive checks, unfortunately, just like the Masques version. However, we'll continue on with the rest of that effect because after she attacks, Stevie 1, stand any 3 units and give those cards plus 5k and minus 1 drive, like for her because she restands, along with any other 2 cards. This could be 2 attackers to get up to 6 attacks a turn. This could be boosters with attackers if you want numbers to actually matter. Like, the possibilities are as possible as you're boarded. But all you theoretically have to have is 3 units on board to get the full restand off, which is very easy to do with this deck. Thanks to her ability to restand everything, you do finally want to run this dork right here, who's a grade 3 that came out in the first Lianorn set, I think? Yeah, set 7, that has to be like the second Lianorn set, who has 2 simple effects. When boosted, gets plus 5 because shut up, but more importantly is his other effect down here, which says that at the end of a battle at this attack to Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Lianorn as name, and all of your units have boosted a total of 5 more times, counterblast 1, put the point in soul, choose one of your rear guards, and restand it. That cost, the 5 boost thing, literally doesn't exist. Like, you have a Lianorn turn, that's 5 boosts right there because you go boost, attack, restand everything. All you have to do is boost with 3 things, and all you need is 3 things on Lianorn to get to 5, so super easy to get that. The turn is basically going to look like rear guard, Lianorn, rear guard, boost with him, restand the other card, Lianorn, rear guard. So that's effectively 7 attacks in the turn. Insane pressure, but you do get a trade-off because a pure Lianorn build, you are going to be very grade 3 heavy as you want to max him out and one before Vivace to get your Persona Rise and consistency off a little bit more. Because this build is going to be using a lot more of these orders, but we'll talk about them in just a second, just because this version of Lianorn does not have a self-revival thing like the one we'll talk about in just a second. In short, this build gives you an insanely amount of explosive turns once you get to Vivace, giving you 5, 6, 7 attacks per turn at very, very large numbers. However, there is a trade-off in the fact that you do not have a way to search grade 3s, therefore, you have to hard mulligan to get Lianorn Vivace to do anything, and it is a turn 4 deck, so you're going to be turn 3, Lianorn, just get triple drive and 3 attacks, I guess, then hopefully draw into this girl. Of course, as you may have guessed from the last few sentences, Lianorn Vivace is not just a pure build. There is another variation of this deck that I've been running for the last few weeks, testing out different versions of, and I do like that a lot more, so let's talk about that. For the most part, I've been running this Masques Variant Lianorn, not just so I keep on using Persona 5 music and emphasizing the fact that Lianorn is the plant girl, therefore she is Haru, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna do it. Lianorn Masque has actually a couple of things going for her. First of all, it gives you something to do on your 3rd turn, because like I said, Vivace can only function after riding after Lianorn, therefore making it turn 4 deck. Same theoretically for Masques versions, however, you can just cheat out a Masques turn 3 going first and not care about the Persona ride. So you're always going to be live, you just need to have that Masques to help you function. That said, I very much think of Masques as a mini Vivace, in the fact that Vivace gives you 7 attacks, whereas this one gives you up to 5 depending on how you play. She as well will help you stand 2 cards. It can be any 2 cards, so you can stand 2 front row attackers if you do have exclusive turn they don't have triggers. Or if they do hit a trigger, you just stand 1 column and get a power boost on it. So 4 to 5 attacks on an optimal turn, and does of course give you transition until you draw into a Vivace because it is a P specific card. The other good thing that she does is her first effect, which says that you can once per turn remove a Lianorn to revive a grade 1 and then kill a card. This number 1 gives you spot removal, which not entirely sure how important that is these days, but more importantly, it does give you recursion to always have a board in the stacks. In my experience, Lianorn is like the best recovery deck in the game. There is very little ways to deny them presence because you can either be fielding cards with card effects like hers or the original Lianorns, and even though it is a little resource heavy because most things are going to cost you a counterblast in some way, shape, or form, you can basically say that, oh no, if they deny you 1 CB on turn 3, you either are going to use that to call 1 card off normal Lianorn or get a 5 attack turn off of the funeral. Plus the other benefit of that is the whole removing a Lianorn thing. You can either do the one in your Rideline, which is always just going to be there, or if you happen to draw into some Vivaces and you don't need them, there goes. Like, you theoretically only need 1 hand, so you have them clogging up your hand or whatever. That's a free card on board, a free grade 1. So now we've got the basics down of the grade 3s, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Ridelines. And we have 2 wheel choices here, plus 1 tech that I want to talk about. And you can already see down there in the corner, because I didn't cover it up, there's a secret. First up, we got the Zorga Classic, the Rancor Chain, who says that you could draw 2 cards in order to hopefully discard an order, if not discard 2 cards. Discarding an order is of course optimal because you're basically going to be drawing 3 cards going second and discarding 2. Or, I guess it's fine that you can discard 2 cards because, you know what, you got a lot of revival. I just said that there's so much recursion in Lianorn, you don't care about saying this drop zone. Then of course he follows himself up with the grade 2, which says that on ride you retrieve said order that you just dropped back to your hand, therefore making 1 discard per Rideline free as long as it is an order. This Rideline I'm a little iffy on because it does whiff a decent amount of times. You're not running too many orders, so you won't always hit it, and you can basically just be saying, I'm not doing anything my first 2 turns, or just chancing the Rancor Chain and discarding a card or whatever. But when you hit it, and it is very nice. And the second one I want to talk about is Plant Boy here, and this Rideline is going to generate you board. Effectively, when you ride him over the grade 0, you have to run that starter for this Rideline to work. You generate a token behind the Vanguard, therefore giving you 1 grade 1 turn, and in combo with another card that we do run here. We'll get to him in a second. So you're able to make a huge grade 1 rush turn going second. So very good, helps you generate a free card to get your boosters going because of course you do want a full back row for Lianorn. And then when you ride over him with his grade 2 best friend, you're able to once again call a token. This time you call it 2. So you can either just pop the one you already had to go boom boom and have 2 boosters, pop the one that you have and go boom boom, have an aggressive column if you think you can make it, or just set up 2 on the rear guards to say, oh hey, we got field. It gives you a lot of field presence, but it's small field presence because they're tokens. Of course, you run either one of those grade 1s with the card I'm about to talk about, because you can see it right there, I'm not very good at hiding cards. I want to talk about Raktina, the actual grade 2 for the Lianorn Rideline. This is insanity. So basically, when you ride over her with Lianorn, you get to Soul Blast 1 and call 1 grade 1 from your drop zone. At bare minimum. If you have nothing in the drop, like if you've been discarding triggers or orders or whatever for your Rideline, you can Soul Blast out your grade 1 from your Rideline and get that back out for free. This nets your free card. Running it with Rora grade 1 means that you essentially have 2 free cards off your Rideline. And of course, this means that Lianorn's skill to draw a card, call a card, is going to be all you ever need to do to make a board off Lianorn. Therefore, for your entire Rideline, all you need is 1 counterblast to basically have a full Lianorn turn. Of course, I said bare minimum because, as you'll see when we talk about grade 1s, there is so many good options that Lianorn has. It is the grade 1 deck. Discard anything, ride over Raktina, get back anything, any card you discard early and becomes free. It's just good. I know the other grade 2s there to plus off of like making board or like plus off a token engine or whatever, but it's like, this is just good. And of course, this is a Stoke Carrier deck, so we are going to talk about the Spice. That is the Villain Twins right here. I don't have Vanguard effects on their own, so it makes your first 2 turns kind of vanilla. They essentially say that when you're in drop zone and you have a grade 3, you're able to call them out for free. This basically means that you have 2 units that you can call free off your Rideline, or whenever you ride into like any other 3s, say like a Masque or a Vivace or something like that, you just generate for board. It's more of a long-term plan. Like, you have other options. Lianorn has like some of the best ride decks in the game, but they are there if you need them. And if you have tech room for them, I guess it's pretty good too. So I keep mentioning that this is a Stoicheia deck, therefore it works a lot with orders because of the whole Rancor, what's his name, Dragon Rideline or whatever. Let's talk about some orders for a second, shall we? So obvious Mask. I mean, if you're on that engine, that's one. It's a stupid card for a reason. You basically will use this to search out a freaking Mask Lianorn Haru, professional, whatever, toot man. The evil tooting. And like, if anything, if it whiffs, it's just free discard fodder. You can just use this dropstone effect to ride the Lianorn. There's literally no minus to Mask. One of the best villain decks in the game. Of course, you also see floating in the corner, we do have this Perfect Guard. I'm a little mixed on these. Like I said, Lianorn typically is a field-reliant deck. You do always want to have units on board, so I would recommend using it for just the normal generic Perfect Guard. However, this is an order. If you're running the order Rideline, this helps against triple drive decks, which are starting to be more prevalent. We have Dradril, one of the best decks in the game. Bastion, if it rides to the grade 4. I'm not sure if they just ride to grade 4 now or if they chillax on accord, whatever. And we are starting to see some stuff with jump ride decks. So like, I don't know how competitive they are, but if you happen to run into like a Seraph Snow or a Brewster or something like that, it can also help you out there. Not to mention your boys, of course. Not sure how I feel about them right now, but maybe with the 54 card change or the promo coming out, we'll see what we can cook. Make sure you subscribe to see that happen. Then, of course, in terms of defense, we're also looking at this Regalis piece as a Regalis for the deck if you do want to run it. Obviously, the Chalice isn't going to do anything because we'll probably be running an order every turn. Same thing with Forbidal, which honestly you want to be adding grade 3s to your hand unless you're playing the Vivace build. I guess you could Forbidal into 2 Resonance Dragons or something like that, but you're probably going to run this if you run any piece at all. It's another Blitz order, so you do have an option. And it gives you a huge shield or an option to defend against those pesky overtrigger things. So, not bad. Just depends if you have room for it. Then, before we go into a bunch of cards, I'll do the same thing. I want to talk about this tech, which I was trying out my last variant for recording this. Only really pulled off once in the tournament, but I only played one, so. Ye Wandering Souls. This is a card that lets you discard an order in order to gain a drive check on your Vanguard. Depends on the build, but like, because you have a restander. Because Vivace is a restander, at least 1 drive check. This effectively turns you up to 3 on the first, 2 on the second, bam, 5 cards in your hand. That's a full starting hand off your drive checks. Once again, it all depends on like how your orders are going to be looking for a turn, because this is like very much a tertiary thing behind other options that you play, but it does get you there. The only game I played off I did win because you get 5 drive checks. Alright, fine. I've tormented you long enough. Let's talk about the promo that I don't have. Mythiarch Habitat. This is probably like the main reason that I've been running the Masques Variant over pure Vivace. That is because it is a box topper promo, and once again, if you want to help support this channel so I can afford cards like this, make sure to check out my page on TCG Player, or of course, pick up some Raise Energy. This isn't Raise, this is balls. I'm gonna put some balls in my mouth right now. God, it used to be my crack back in the day. But because I don't think Balls does sponsorships, make sure to check out Raise Energy, code Skyrish to save 15% online. So this stupid card, it's got 2 different effects. First of all, it is free. Look at this card and tell me where you see the cost on it. Spoilers, there isn't. First effect, you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, call it to Vanguard, and shuffle the deck. The free check top 7, call it dude based on your grade. You very much rush this deck, so you don't care if you go turn 1, just play any grade 1 from top 7. You're probably going to find one because you do run a lot of grade 1s. Then its second effect, which is more like 2 effects, I guess. That's weird text box right there. First off, in deck, when you search for a unit card, you may search or choose this card, so it counts as a unit, I guess. But, I mean, it counts for the second thing. That says, when this card will be called from deck to Rearguard, put it in your hand instead of drop 7. So basically, this card is whiff free. You can literally check top 7, see nothing. Just have another copy of this card. And you're just like, okay, that's fine, whatever. So you can go back to my hand. And you play it again next turn. Or discard it to the dragon and get the dragon back. By the way, you can just get this back off the dragon after you play it turn 1 and just do it again. Card is literally free. Card is insane. Card is like $25 right now. Hell, get me TCG Player, whatever. Do the sponsor thing. Luckily for all you guys, though, this is a Stoicheia deck, which means there's like 20 other variations of this deck. Spiritual Body is just Soul Blast 1, call a thing, plus 5. This is Soul Blast 1, look at your top 3, choose a thing, or whatever. This is one specifically for Lianorn that's Counter Blast 1, check your top 7, call 2 grade 1s. They're just, the options are only as word. I can't even end that correctly, it's just, Stoicheia has every single resurrection card in the game. Once again, Lianorn, you cannot kill your rearguard. They just keep on coming back. Outside of, I guess, like, an Aragami matchup. I don't know who runs Vermilion. I don't know if Vermilion is ever gonna be competitive. Then the final one that's down here that I haven't talked about yet, is this Kitty Cat. It goes Meows. So this is a card that no one's ever played that's existed since the dawn of set 3. Has a real simple effect and works a lot better in multi-attack decks. That's all I can really say about it. Basically, when you place this, you choose one of your units, and until the end of the turn, it's going to get, when that other unit attacks, this gets +5 until the end of the turn. This is a multi-attack deck, ladies and gentlemen. You get 5 to 7 attacks off it. Choose one of your things, give it power. Do most multiple ways. You can either choose one of your rear guards that's going to be resetting anyways, because you'll be getting like 1, 2 to 3 attacks off it, depending on if you resonance build or not. You can choose your Vanguard for a Vivace turn, and she's going to get +5 for each one, plus like all the thing that stacks on it. You can choose one of your boosters because you are going to potentially be standing boosters, and with a specific card that gets power off your boosters, it also helps off that. There are so many different ways to run this. It's insane that this hasn't seen use until literally this set. Of course, either way you slice things, the core strategy of Lianorn is to make your girl huge and get multiple attacks. Here's a few ways to help with that. Alright, so Lianorn's core strat is to run a bunch of grade 1s. Let's talk about some grade 1s. This is a new one. She's a 10k booster. JK, she's a 13k booster on turns that you're on Vivace. And if you happen to boost it 3 or more times from her secondary effect, you get to countercharge 1 and draw a card by retiring her. This is fine because you never care about losing a card, once again recursion, and resource back is resource back. You're always going to have 3 boosts. Your bare minimum turn of just attacking with Lianorn, that's still 3 boosts. 13k, countercharger, Little Drummer Girl. I used to be a percussionist. This is like one of my favorites. Speaking of resources, we can talk about our carbuncle for the deck, or cat, whatever they are. I'm just always going to call them carbuncles. Of course, they have 2 different effects. The first is the 20k guard. Very nice for the current format because guard is huge in the game where we at most have like 20k shield and triggers are 10ks. This is effectively the same thing as running an effect front trigger. That returns some cards from Ridelines back to deck. You can also pay at cost in order to use the second effect. Soul Charge 2 gives some +5. Helps out with your power gain skills. And of course, Soul is very nice to have always, so. Not a bad kitty. The only reason I hesitate on saying like maybe run one of him is just because you have a lot of other options in this variant specifically, and because sometimes your Rideline does matter a lot. Say like for Lianorn Master, you want to make sure you have that Lianorn ready, or maybe depending on what your grade 1 or grade 2 is, if they have a ride over effect, you might want to keep that in Soul. It's a good card, just like not the biggest fan in this deck specifically. Still pick it up though, still run it. It's a good card. Diantha, of course, one of Lianorn's oldest friends. This is a non-order version of your Order Resurrection card. Just on place, Counterblast 1, call a thing, and of course she's also a 13k booster, just like any other grade 1 you're gonna run this deck. Helps refill your field for free. Well, Counterblast 1, but for free. There are many good things you can do with this, and it basically makes your Rideline free, because whatever you want to get back from Diantha, if you mulligan it, you just discard and you get it back in 2 turns. Only bad thing about it is that your opponent has to be grade 3 in order to get full capability, but you don't care about that because grade 3 is when you do stuff. Archer, I don't know if we run him anymore. Used to, and like I still play around with him a little bit in the Rideline sometimes, but it's effectively when placed by a card ability, you can Soul Charge 1, once again help refill Soul just like the kitty cat does up there, and when it boosts, you give the card from it a +5. Very good on a Vivace turn where you're going to be resetting board and using it multiple times. This is good on a normal Lianorn turn where you get seeing back row again and using him. Not quite as good on Lianorn Reverse, but 2 out of 3 is not bad, and it does give you a soul back. If you want to run it, run it. I have seen people in the past use this as your grade 1 for Rideline slot if you don't want to do any of the other 3 cards I mentioned. And I mean, Legolas here is not bad, it's just there's better now. This card's good. Alright, so this is your box topper promo for this set. Have fun finding those if you don't have a way to get singles, I guess. It's like $5-6, it's not that bad, honestly. So Luster Impact has 2 different skills. First of all, he's going to get +5 in boost as long as you have 2 grade 1s or lower on board, aka literally what the deck does. So you can play this turn too if you have some cards on board. Be a big beater. Cool. 15k, he also gets boost. Yay for yay. Everything about it sounds good. Then his secondary effect, when he restands, and your Lianorn is a big girl, you have to be at, what, 33k I think? Yeah, 33k threshold. You can Soul Blast 1, draw a card, he's going to get +5. So effectively he becomes a 20k beater on a restand, / a 20k booster, however you want to run him, and he nets you a free card. Draw engine means that you don't necessarily need to run draw triggers, along with Little Drummer Girl that's right beside it. These 2 both draw you cards. And just being a 20k booster / beater is not bad, especially on Persona Red turn. And of course, the last card we have to mention right here, which I've been dodging around in this entire video. It's literally one of the best cards in the deck. Rosario Fairy. Little left boy with scissors. Like every card we talk about in this video, Rosario has 2 different effects. First of all, when you call him, you retire a card. Call 2 plant tokens. The whole 5k thing's good for them. It's obviously meant also for Granfia, which I haven't really covered yet. Like, let me know in the comments if you want to see some Granfia stuff. This is great because it gives you 3 boosters on board at minimum. The worst thing that you can do with this card is say, play it, retire your rear guard. I have full boost field for Lianorn now. There's also 0 restriction on it, so you can turn 1, just retire your plant token, make 2 more plant tokens. This basically gives you 3 attacks if you go 2 plant columns, him, Vanguard, or 2 columns that swing 13 if you go boom, boom. Of course, you do want to put plant token in front of him so you're able to protect him for a turn until he matters for his secondary effect, which is when it attacks. If you're on a Granfia, or more importantly, if you're on Lianorn, your opponent does have to be on grade 3, which kind of sucks. You have to play him turn 3 going second. Oh no. You know what? I'm him now. I have become a Rosario Fairy. You can choose 1 card in your back row, and he gains the power of that card for that battle. So, you know how we're talking about those 13k boosters? You know how we're talking about Dragon I just talked about as a 20k for free? Just add it here. You know, hold on, we're gonna go back. I'm gonna show you something cool. First of all, Death Wall, I literally haven't talked about it. It's part of the Masques engine. Makes the Dragon Tree. Usually, most, like, 98% of the Dragon Tree decks, you just put it on the front row card. Oh yay, you get boosties, yay! Situationally in here, if you know you're gonna be sitting on your Masques for a little while for that tree to matter, and if you happen to be going second where those boosting attacks are gonna matter, you actually are gonna put it on a back row circle for 1v boosters, because that will help power up Rosario a little bit. Secondary though, like this is the weak sauce version of it. Remember the kitty cat order? That looks like a Magnolia. Megan be still my girl, don't make me say it. Remember how this gives +5 to something anytime anything attacks? You put that on a boosty boost. You have Rosario up front every time you attack. Rosario is just gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger. Once again, you gain, at minimum, 2 attacks with Rosario on any of your Lianorn turns. And if you happen to be on the pure Vivace variant with Resonance Dragon, 3, plus 35 to whatever's boosting them, to whatever goes on Rosario. It just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. This is your kill turn. This plus Rosario is your kill turn for the deck, and it's insanely consistent. So yeah, little fairy boy here. You run 4 of it, end of story. Alright, that's part about deck building. Let's actually talk about triggers, because it's not going to be as cut and dry as you think. Like, this is one of my favorite things about the deck, is like how diverse your trigger lineup could be. Alright, here's the kids down here. So first of all, we're gonna ignore this. You didn't see the open trigger, shut up. In this deck, you want to run vanilla triggers. You want to run the ones that do not have card effects I just deleted in the draw, because they're 5k boosters and your numbers do of course matter when you're trying to make your Vanguard as big as possible. Building a 4k booster isn't going to hit next threshold in terms of defensive triggers and stuff like that, and of course this gives you more reason to run all of the fancy bang dream ones if you care about them. I don't care. This is a puppy. Look at this. Look at the pom-pom. Look at the Pomeranian and the flute. The front's a monkey. Then going into, of course, what kind of triggers you want to run, you'd think it would be this. You'd think it would be just run 8 crits, 3 fronts, 7 for some variant of that. Not necessarily. It is a strong possibility that you can run draws in this deck as well, because it really depends on your variation. Aside of being on normal Lianorn, you are typically doing twin drives, and you do want to generate resources because you need field all the time. So draws do help there. However, this is very much a multi-attacking deck, which, like I said so many times, you hit easily 5 to 7 attacks a turn. Front's going to help there, especially when you get multiple drive checks off of something like a Vivace. And of course, crit pressure, because you want to hit them hard and fast. The best thing to do is get them to at least 3 damage by turn 3 when you go into 1v Lianorn turn. Take your pick, ladies and gentlemen. Crits, draws, fronts, all are viable in Lianorn. Now I guess you guys care about these 4 floating around me. This Rant at Bush Road as much as you want for the inclusion of over triggers and like insane power scale and stuff like that. This is one of the only decks in the game that I could think about that effectively could use any available over trigger. Actually, let's talk about these one by one. Alright, so you get Stoke one, the one for the nation. This has the effect to give you all trigger effects. So basically you're going to draw a card, your front row is going to get +10, you give 1 unit crit, and then you can potentially heal if you meet the qualities of the heal of, like, you know, being tied or above that damage, just like any heal trigger. I want to say this is situational, because like it only gets better if you have a better board. You rip this turn 1, oh no, it's just a fancy crit and a draw. Later in the game when you rip this thing, literally insane. Free front trigger, while giving crit pressure to whatever you want, while healing damage, while drawing 2 cards, so don't forget you get to draw 1 off the over trigger itself. This thing just scales, and say Rosario turn. Give the 100 bajillion power to one of your boosting rear guards you get a sand, and get multiple uses out of. This is a very good card. Maybe not the best over trigger in the game, but situationally, the way that this deck functions, very not bad. Then you got the new Crayduo, which, let's go over them one by one. Red is going to give one of your rear guards the ability to multi-attack. Do I need to say anything more? This is already a multi-attack deck. Now you have no one multi-attacking. If you're not on one of your rear guard resand turns, like normal Lianorn, this does help you to get that multiple resand. The way it's phrased, you're also able to call a card from your hands. Even if you already got your attacks off, you still call a new one and give it a plus 10 billion. It's very diverse to help you multiple attacks. Rosario. Do I need to say the kitty order again? This works very well with the kitty cat order. Of course, there's one that people actually like now, the blue trigger, which lets you retrieve one card from your drop zone and give something a crit. This is good for two reasons. First of all, recursion. You get a free card back from your drop zone. This could either be like a perfect guard if you need to guard. This could be a unit that lets you plus if you know that you're able to survive the next turn or whatever. It does say card. This does not say unit. So if you want, you can retrieve an order that you want to use next turn. Very diverse there in terms of all stuff we can do. Crit pressure also. Don't forget Vivace Restands. You're a very minimal thing that, oh no, I don't have a field or whatever, I'm just going to Vivace Restand her. That's Restand a Vanguard that you just give a crit to, and if you have nothing better to do with it, gave her 10 billion jillion. Very good. I want to talk about the generic. Give me a second. We got this. I wanted to use one of the cool arts like the overdress arts that has everyone in it, but I mean, we're talking about Lianorn. Let's use the Rara one. Very simple. You've seen this card 10 bajillion times. It's a box topper in every single sneak peek apparently. Just choose 2 units, give them plus the overtrigger power. So you go one thing, give it overtrigger power. One thing, give it the overtrigger power. 98% of the decks in the game, extremely mid. On a deck where you're constantly resanding things, including your back row boosters to give more power to, including things like Rosario that get power off of the other card. Not so mid. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Surprisingly decent if you have no other option or just want to mess with people. I need to think of a transition to the next part, so here we go! Screw it, we're getting at the right map for this one. In terms of the game plan, you're always going to mulligan for Rosario, no matter if you win first or second. It gives you both aggro and field presence, so you can either field at turn 1 to start beating face, or wait till your Lianorn turn where it really shines and you can start absorbing the power of stuff in the back row. When you pair that with the fact that we typically run the Roro grade 0 and grade 1 turn as your grade 1 turn, that automatically is going to generate one of these guys. So if you do have them in your hand, you can field it, pop this off, and either make a token like that and that to have 2 solid attacks, or if you're feeling lucky, do that and here's your turn 1. Congrats, if you go aggro, you can get 3 attacks on turn 1, or on the grade 2 turn, you probably just want to go meow meow. Then, of course, like I said, once you're on Lianorn and this is your field, you literally just say boom, pop, pop, pop. And if the cost of one whole card that you've opened, you basically fulfill Lianorn's cost automatically without doing a single thing. Outside of that, one of the first things I do is try to fish for one of these guys. Doesn't matter if it's the mask itself or the wallet that will make a mask. But at least in my test, you do want to go for this turn 3. I just want to focus on more of a pure build or whatever. But this gives you more chances to draw into the mask form. And also that generates the card on board. Once again, you just want to make things. It doesn't matter what they are, you just want to put things on the field. Of course, optimally, you want to go second, have 2 counterblasts open. So that way you could first activate Lianorn's first effect, counterblast to draw a card and call a card. Then when you go into mask, you once again have the ability to get rid of this, call another card, and still have the counterblast left to do your double card reset. So effectively off of 2 counterblasts, you get a good 5 attack turn for Lianorn mask. That said, if you are getting started and you just have 1 open, I probably prioritize just sitting on a normal Lianorn turn, because that call can let you filter draw a card regardless of if you want to call a card or not. And like I said, with things like Rosario, that gives you free things, and your token generation that gives you free things, and her that gives you free things. You could just sit here off 1 counterblast. Say, okay, I'm not doing anything this turn. Meow, woof, 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 woof. I still get my triple drive. Of course, you do want to try and fish for these as much as possible because there is no way to search out grade 3s outside of the mask turn for Lianorn mask. So if you can afford to open one of these, cool. Otherwise, hard mulligan for it, I guess. In terms of the type of this deck, if you haven't guessed it by now, we are extremely aggressive. So as I mentioned in the card breakdown, you do want to see as many of these kids as possible. Dianther's not a high enough priority just because she doesn't function until turn 3, but if you do open it, it does eventually turn any card in your hand into just free revival. So like, oh no, discard this for Ride deck, you get him back in 2 turns when you play this and just revive a card. Then basically everything in here is going to be a huge power up for Lianorn, regardless of whatever form she takes. Where's the Vivace? There she is. And then finally, well, it's not a priority because this is a much later card to play. I keep on talking about this order. It's stupid. It makes this card insane. And this card pretty good. And like, any Lianorn turn that does halfway decent stuff really, really insane. Aggro, honestly, I'm running 2 of my current builds. It's running really well with 2. So that is how our band's going to function for now. Or at least the first chapter of it. Honestly, if I wanted to give you guys a full comprehensive guide, I'd be reading over Gene's article. Link in the description down below, because seriously, I cannot even begin to get started on what they cover and that I wouldn't have even been able to think about without making this like an hour-long video essay. So make sure you check that out. But those are my thoughts, at least. What do you all think of the Big Bang? Big Band, World Tree Girl. World Tree. That's 2 words, right? How do you think she stacks up to the current meta? And why is this meta legitimately just a Will Dress protagonist meta? Make sure to comment down below if you want to see me cover any of those. And while you're down there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure it's not red if you haven't already. Anyways, I don't want to keep you guys any longer on your holiday breaks and long weekends. Unless you're also not really at Christmas and just kind of killing time. In which case I might be just live streaming some Pokemon right now or something. Shame I don't have a big enough following right now, or else I'd say hit me up on Discord, we could record some matches and stream, that kind of stuff. Oh well. Happy holidays, and until next time, always embrace the infinite. Pew, 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 pew. I don't know, I did finger guns. I just did finger guns that time, don't worry about it. It's like 50 degrees outside.